Divine Cure. Chapter 2. Divine Gifts. The air, pure air. The respiratory system, mechanism of inhalation and exhalation. Pranayam, respiratory exercise. Nadi Shuddhi, technique of Nadi Shuddhi. Water, importance of bath. Water cure, tub bath, wet pack. The sun, sun bath. The earth, mud pack. Fruits, vegetables and leaves. Dominance of leaves. 1. The air. Of all the gifts bestowed upon man by the Lord, air is supreme. One can live without food for many weeks, without water for some days, but without air, not even for a few minutes. Hence, the whole atmosphere is full of air to be enjoyed fully, freely, and without any effort. In order to get the full benefit of the life-giving effect of air, there are two important requirements. 1. Air should be pure. 2. The respiratory system should be able to utilize air fully. Pure air. Development of modern cities with the rapid growth of factories, their chimneys emitting large volumes of smoke and fumes of chemical poisons, and the numerous vehicles polluting the atmosphere with many poisonous gases like carbon monoxide, etc., are constantly rendering the air foul and unhealthy. Over and above, construction of multi-storied buildings and narrow lanes obstruct the blowing of winds, which otherwise could have renewed and refreshed the atmosphere. In these days of hurry and worry, an ease-loving man has little time to avail fresh air regularly. He only enjoys various modern amenities devised by him, and without which he can hardly live. He has, thus, lost the natural urge for the supreme, life-giving pure air. Because of engagements till late night, he has forgotten the marvelous old maxim, early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy and wise. By rising late in the morning, man loses the golden advantage of parks and other open spaces for the fresh morning air. In addition, he has become prone to all sorts of diseases due to non-availability of pure, fresh air. As a matter of fact, natural pure air is available only in wide open spaces, where the Creator has arranged for its perpetual purification through 1. Rain, which washes out the dust and other impurities in the air. 2. Wind, which renews and refreshes the air. 3. Trees, shrubs, and other vegetative growths, ecology, which constantly use up the excess of carbon dioxide exhaled by men and animals and release oxygen simultaneously. This is precisely the role of ecology in the purification of air. And 4. Sunshine, which rids the air of germs and other harmful substances. It has great cleansing properties. Since air, in its purest form, is available only in wide open places, it is necessary to remain in such areas for the maximum amount of time. The respiratory system. For proper purification of the blood, there should, however, be efficient and proper inhalation and exhalation of air to allow an effective exchange of gases in the lungs. In order to get a clear picture of the respiratory process, it is necessary to have some idea of the organs involved within the respiratory system. The Creator has so wisely designed the lungs and other organs through which the air passes, and the wonderful manner in which the lungs are consolidated in such a small space, inside the thorax, to perform the dual function of constantly cleansing and rejuvenating the huge quantity of blood present inside the body. The organs concerned in respiration are nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchus, lungs, and 3 sets of muscles, one moving the ribs, the other acting between the ribs, and the third one moving the diaphragm. Inspiration is affected by the working of all these muscles, while expiration is the result of the passive recoil of the lungs and relaxation of the set of muscles. Inhaled air first passes through the nose. If it is too cold, it gets warmed up by an ingenious device at the lower portion of the nasal passage that is lined with a membrane very richly supplied with blood. The air then passes into a chamber called the pharynx through the lower oral part from where both air and food have to pass before air enters the next chamber, the larynx. The larynx is a box-like chamber surrounded by cartilages that are soft, bone-like structures to keep the box always open and can be felt with the hand in the front of the neck. The vocal cords are also present in the larynx, which is popularly called the voice box. From here, the air passes into the trachea or windpipe, which is about 10 centimeters in length and 2.5 centimeters in diameter. It is formed by rings of cartilages held together by an elastic fibrous membrane, which keeps the tube open without any risk of closure. The trachea is divided into two tubes called the right and left bronchus that enter into each lung. The bronchus goes on dividing into smaller and smaller tubes called the bronchioles, which form the substance of the lungs. This subdivision continues until the tubes become about 1/40 of an inch in diameter. Then the subdivision ends and the bronchioles widen to end in finer air cells or alveoli that are about 0.063 centimeter in diameter. There are several air cells round about the bronchioles that look like a bunch of grapes. Walls of the air cells, which cluster around the finest bronchioles, are made up of extremely fine elastic and muscular tissues that allow the air to diffuse freely through their walls. There are myriads of capillaries that cover the air cells. These capillaries are the finest ultimate subdivision of blood vessels coming into and going out of the lungs. The incoming blood vessels bring impure blood from the heart to be purified in the lungs. The outgoing vessels carry the purified blood to the heart. The network of capillaries covering the air cells is extremely fine, and the walls of the capillaries are very thin. Thus, inside the air cells, there is fresh air that is covered with extremely thin membranes, one of air cells and the other of capillaries. On the other side, there is blood streaming through the capillaries in very fine currents. The two membranes between the air and the blood are so thin that they allow a free interchange between oxygen from the air cells and carbon dioxide from the capillaries. The total area of the innumerable air cells over whose walls the blood is spread for purification is very large and comes to about 300 square meters. So we find how God, the great architect, has secured such a large surface area for purification of the blood within the small size of the lungs. It shows clearly how the lungs get rid of poisonous carbon dioxide from the blood, which is thereafter sent back completely purified to the heart for onward distribution to all the organs of the body. Mechanism of inhalation and exhalation. With some basic knowledge of the respiratory organs, it is now time to look at the means by which this process can be performed more effectively. For this, one should know how the process of inhalation and exhalation are controlled. It has already been pointed out that inhalation is controlled by three sets of muscles. One set of muscles from the neck acts upon the ribs and the clavicle or collarbone raises it up. The other set is in between the ribs, which raises the lower lips and also makes the ribs move forward to give greater space for air to move in. The third set acts on the diaphragm, which is a dome-shaped partition between the thorax and the abdomen, with its convexity upwards making it flat to allow the lungs to expand downwards in order to allow them to suck air in. Thus, inhalation is a forced muscular act through actions of three sets of muscles. These sets can be made to act singly or jointly. Expiration is mainly caused by the elastic recoil of the lungs and relaxation of these muscles. Relaxation of the muscles acting upon the clavicle and ribs and the muscles acting in between the ribs make the thorax contract to a small size, expelling the air. Relaxation of the diaphragmatic muscles enables the diaphragm to push the lungs upwards, thus reducing its size. The recoil of the lungs, which is composed of elastic tissues, causes air to expel. Pranayam, respiratory exercise. For ages, rishis have passed on the knowledge of making the respiratory process deep, slow, and effective by an exercise known as pranayam. The depth of this respiratory process makes the interchange of gases in the air cells thorough and effective, while the slow breathing increases the span of life, which is said to be limited by the number of breaths of a person. The wonderful system of pranayam aims to provide proper exercise of the respiratory muscles. By gradual and regular exercise of these muscles, respiration during the rest of the 24 hours becomes slow, deep, silent, and regular. Deep inhalation provides pure air even to those air cells which normally remain deprived of their due share during ordinary respiration. Slow respiration allows more time to complete the exchange of gases. Hence, pranayam proves to be of immense value in supplying large quantities of oxygen and removing unwanted poisonous carbon dioxide during this exercise and also during the rest of the day. Pranayam not only helps keeping the body young and healthy, it does much more. It also rejuvenates other systems of the body, that is, the digestive, the circulatory, the excretory, the nervous, and the endocrine systems. The regularity in alternate contraction and relaxation of the diaphragmatic muscles due to pranayam improves movement of the abdominal muscles. The stomach, liver, and pancreas that play very important roles in digestion also receive the benefit of this improved movement. Any congestion within them gets relieved and food absorption improves. Nerves and muscles controlling the function of the bowels and kidneys also get toned up and start working more efficiently. This avoids putrefaction, fermentation, and gas formation, and elimination of toxins from the blood increases. A richer and poison-free blood improves the functions of the circulatory and respiratory systems, and with a liberal supply of cleaner blood to the entire nervous system, its efficiency is improved. Truly speaking, pranayam is an ancient Indian science and art of respiratory, nervous, and hormonal control, which enables an individual to regulate his biologic living through conservation and control of bioenergy. Nadi Shuddhi. Those who want to practice pranayam for physical benefits should practice Nadi Shuddhi pranayam, that is, inhalation and expiration without stoppage of breath. Since retention of breath is not involved in Nadi Shuddhi, this type of pranayam is easy, simple, and safe. This system, by its purifying effect on the breath and nerves, also serves as a very good preparatory base for meditation. One should sit in meditation preferably after Nadi Shuddhi. Time. The best time for this exercise is very early in the morning, much before sunrise. One should sit for it after moving the bowels and cleansing the mouth. It is not necessary to have a bath before this exercise. That can be taken afterwards when convenient. Place. The place selected for pranayam should either be an open place or a well-ventilated room free from strong winds. An open place like a veranda is preferable. Seat. A woolen blanket covered with a thick washable cloth will serve the purpose. Posture. Although Siddhasana, Swastikasana or Padmasana are the traditional meditative poses, Sukhasana is preferable. It can be conveniently maintained for a long period of time. Sit on the ground with the legs extended. Bend one of the legs and place the heel under the opposite thigh. Then fold the other leg and place the heel under the opposite thigh, thus sitting cross-legged with ankles also crossed. Keep the body straight, spine erect, and head perfectly poised. Place the hands on the respective knees with palms downwards. Relax the body completely. Close the eyes and sit composed. Mentally watch the breath going in and coming out for a minute. This eliminates all muscular and nervous tension and gives composure. Technique of Nadi Shuddhi. Nadi Shuddhi should be done in the following 3 stages. 1. Through both nostrils. Start with a deep exhalation of air while keeping the middle fingers on either side of the tip of nose. Then inhale slowly and steadily till inhalation is complete. This must be followed by slow exhalation, which should take double the time of inhalation. This may seem difficult in the beginning, but if understood that exhalation is only a passive act involving no exertion, it becomes effortless. It may, however, require some practice. The measure of time, if preferred, may be regulated by reciting a mantra. The 2 middle fingers should continue to remain on either side of the tip of nose. To begin with, repeat this breathing technique 4 times. Later on, it may be extended up to 8 times. 2. Through one nostril. A. Put the middle fingers of both hands on the tip of the nose. Next, move the middle finger of the left hand backward and press it. This will close the left nostril. Now, slowly inhale through the right nostril till inhalation is complete. Then, exhale slowly, remembering to take twice the amount of time taken during inhalation. This makes 1 round. In the beginning, start with 4 rounds and gradually increase to 8. B. In the next step, inhalation and exhalation are to be done through the left nostril by closing the right one. While putting the middle fingers of both hands on the tip of nose, the right hand middle finger should be moved backwards so as to press the right nostril. When inhalation is complete, start exhaling as above, taking double the time for exhalation. This should also be repeated 4 times in the beginning and gradually increased to 8 rounds. 3. Inhalation through one nostril and exhalation through the other. Start inhalation through the right nostril by closing the left nostril in the manner described above. When inhalation is complete, close the right nostril and start exhaling through the left one, taking double the time as above. Repeat by inhaling through the left nostril and exhaling through the right one in a similar manner. This makes 1 round. In the beginning, start with 4 rounds gradually increasing to 8. 2. Water. Water is another important gift bestowed upon all living beings from the Lord. It is an essential constituent of every living tissue and forms about 2/3 of the weight of the human body. It is necessary for the maintenance of the body, and man cannot live without it even for a few days. All fluids of the body, such as the blood, lymph, and all secretions of the internal glands, digestive juices, etc., have water as their major constituent. It is an integral part of all excretions, including urine, sweat, stool, and exhaled air. Therefore, water does not only serve as a vehicle for supplying the body with nutrients in solutions, but also acts as an important medium of getting the body rid of poisonous impurities. Water plays a dual role of nourishing and purifying the body, which is essential for human existence. Therefore, the graceful Lord has given us water in abundance, in the form of rain, oceans, rivers, lakes, springs, and subsoil water. It is unfortunate that in spite of water being supplied so liberally, man does not utilize it fully and properly. In this modern age, consumption of pure and natural water has decreased greatly and has been replaced by tea, coffee, cocoa, and numerous other soft and hard drinks. These drinks not only lack in the important functions of pure water, but also load the body with impurities. To derive the maximum benefits of its life-giving blessings, water should be taken whenever possible in its pure and natural form. Water should be taken several times in a day. Very cold water should be avoided, as it is harmful to the stomach. Fruits and raw vegetables contain the best and purest form of organic water. Many fruits like coconuts, oranges, melons, cucumbers, tomatoes, etc. contain large quantities of such water. Additional sources of water include snow and rain, although in this age they get polluted due to air contamination. In addition, relatively pure water is found in running streams where the flow of water and its exposure to the sun makes it pure, provided they are not used for the disposal of all sorts of waste material. Subsoil water from deep borings, where contamination usually does not occur, is another source of pure water. The upper surface water is generally contaminated with harmful chemical substances and infected with germs and should be avoided. Before drinking any water, it is better to test and ensure its purity. To avoid undue dilution of the gastric juices, water should not be taken along with any meal. It should be taken at least 1 or 2 hours before or after meals. A liberal quantity of water may be taken freely as and when required. A glass of water taken regularly at 12 noon, plain or with a little lemon juice, is a very useful and beneficial habit. Importance of bath. Bathing plays an important role in keeping the body fit and healthy by its stimulating and cleansing action on the skin. The skin is a highly sensitive covering of the body and contains millions of sweat glands, capillaries of blood, and sensitive nerve fibers. The structure of the skin helps it to perform its beneficial role of keeping the body fit and active. Impurities in the body, which reach the kidneys, bowels, and skin in a liquid solution, are fully excreted only when these organs are kept in a clean and unclogged condition. The skin is able to perform its excretory function efficiently only when the pores are kept clean. Water is of great value by virtue of its cleansing property. Hence, a proper bath taken every day is very useful. By bathing in rivers or swimming pools where water is changed frequently, and by remaining in water for some length of time, the skin gets an opportunity to get rid of the impurities by osmotic action. Osmosis takes place between two solutions when one is comparatively in a concentrated form than the other, and they are separated by a thin, permeable membrane to allow diffusion. The human skin is suitable for such an action. Therefore, impurities like salts and acids forming a concentrated solution in the blood pass from the body through the skin into the water. The cleansing action of water is greatly augmented during bathing if the skin is rubbed with a little rough towel. It opens all the pores of the skin by removing all waste products clogging the pores, and also provides a good stimulation to the blood vessels and nerves. Usually, cold water is preferred for bathing, except under special circumstances, when a little warm water is added to make it tolerable. A cold bath is very refreshing and invigorating, while a hot bath is relaxing, but does not invigorate. Water cure. Stimulation of the nervous system through the skin has been utilized for a number of years by nature curists. They have developed hydropathy using various types of elaborate, ingenious, and specialized baths. These help in controlling some diseases, but since they require special equipment, they are at times inconvenient. In addition, it has been found that when individuals focus their attention on these procedures, they seem to lose sight of the vital power given to them by God. Yet, they do have some values worth mentioning. Tub bath. The two most popular and useful baths in hydropathy are hip or sitz baths. They both bring about good and easy excretion of impurities and require special tubs where it is possible to apply cold water to the pelvic region only, while the rest of the body, including the feet, remains outside. While taking these baths, one must thoroughly rub the lower abdomen, genitals, and the space between the anus and genitals by hand or with a rough towel. The abdomen is to be rubbed slowly around the navel in a clockwise direction. It is ideal to take the tub bath early in the morning before the movement of the bowels and should last from 15 to 30 minutes. After taking the tub bath, the abdomen must be warmed by rubbing it with a dry cloth. Then lie down with a cover over the abdomen for another 15 to 30 minutes. Food must not be taken for at least 2 hours after a tub bath. In addition, a fresh, normal bath should be taken approximately 2 hours later. Wet pack. Cold water is also utilized as a remedy for certain ailments in the form of wet packs. To perform a wet pack, one must first dip a thick towel, similar to a Turkish towel, or a thick cloth that is four-folded, into cold water, which is then squeezed dry so it does not drip. It is then placed over the affected area and covered with a warm flannel or blanket. The pack is left on the affected area for 15 to 30 minutes. Upon removal of the pack, the area is dried with a dry cloth and then covered. Naturally, this treatment is best when followed by taking a short rest. This cold water application has the effect of drawing out various impurities and reducing painful swellings. For controlling high fevers, it is the best remedy and can cover the entire body if necessary. In case of moderate fevers, it can be applied as a cold compress on the forehead or on the abdomen. A cold compress, if applied daily in the morning over the abdomen, possesses a wonderful disease-preventing power, provided it is combined with dietetic regulations. The results of using a cold compress is similar to that of a mud compress, but the mud compress is superior. Yet, the simplicity of a cold compress makes it very suitable for universal use. It is important to note that if the cloth used as a wet pack is going to be reused, it must be boiled or cleansed with soap to remove the impurities that were absorbed during its application. 3. The Sun. The graceful Lord has transmitted His life-giving power through all the gifts bestowed upon human beings, but sunlight occupies important position amongst them. The other gifts such as air, water, earth, fruits and leaves are liable to be polluted through some means or the other, which causes them to lose their life-giving power. But sunlight is not affected in any manner. It is also significant to note that the sun possesses the power to purify all the other natural gifts of nature when they are polluted. That is why articles like bedding, clothing, woolen, etc. are exposed to sunlight to keep them pure and free from pests. The Lord created in green plants a miraculous pigment known as chlorophyll, which has the potential to capture the life power of the sun. Its formation is totally dependent upon sunlight or the plants turn yellow. Chlorophyll performs the wonderful magic of breaking up carbon dioxide into carbon and oxygen. It then breaks water into hydrogen and oxygen and releases an abundant supply of oxygen. The carbon element combines with the hydrogen element to form sugars and carbohydrates, which then combines with salts to form the huge trunks and branches of trees with leaves. This is the secret or magic by which plants grow into big trees to utilize carbon dioxide from the air through the life power received from the sun. The red hemoglobin of the human blood is practically similar to chlorophyll in its molecular structure, except that its nucleus is formed by iron, while that of the chlorophyll is by magnesium. It is therefore quite obvious that God has ingeniously managed to store the sun's life-giving power in green leaves and green vegetables for the benefit of man. Sunbath. Sunlight helps the body to form vitamins, particularly vitamin D, a lack of which leads to the deformation of the bones, rickets in children, and also inhibits hemoglobin formation, which results in anemia. In order to receive full advantage of the life-giving power of the sun's rays, it is necessary to expose the naked body to the sun. For this purpose, the best time in the summer is early in the morning, soon after sunrise, or a little before sunset. In winter, the sun rays are best when the sun is pleasantly warm. Exposure should not normally exceed 15 minutes. In the summer, the head, scalp should be covered with a towel or hat when the sun bath is taken. The day is not far off when scientists may put the sun's rays to various uses to bring a revolution in the cure of human sufferings. It is, therefore, no wonder why the sun has always been worshipped in India as God. 4. The Earth. Earth has been regarded by Hindus as mother. Just as any mother takes care of her child out of affection and does her best to develop the child into a perfect state of health, vitality and happiness, so does Mother Earth looks after an individual's all-round progress in health and prosperity. With the blessings of the Lord, the earth has been endowed with life-giving powers, which not only refreshes, vitalizes, and invigorates human beings through its electromagnetic power, but also nourishes them by producing a vast vegetable kingdom full of fruits, vegetables, leaves, grains, etc. The earth plays a vital role in purifying the air and removing various pollutions. God, the great architect, has arranged the bones of the feet to form an ark, which makes it strong and capable of bearing the weight of the entire body, and has supplied the sole of the foot with numerous sensitive nerves. Hence, when a person walks barefooted on the earth, the sensitive nerves of the sole transmit very powerful electromagnetic energy and power to the whole body. But alas, for the modern human, it is not possible that he may always walk barefooted. Realizing this, it would be of great benefit if he can walk barefooted on the grass or in some park or other open space for at least an hour in the morning and, if possible, an hour in the evening. Mud pack. The immense power of Mother Earth can best be utilized to cure numerous ailments of the body if it is applied in the form of a mud pack or mud compress. There is nothing that can equal the earth for any local treatment, as it possesses high dissolving and absorbing powers. To prepare a mud compress, take mud made from moist earth, spread it on a piece of linen, then apply it directly over the skin. It may be covered by a bandage to keep it stationary. Whether being used for a disease that is external or internal, a mud compress proves to be helpful. It can be applied over almost any area where there is an infection, such as the chest, over the region of the liver or kidneys, or over the neck in case of throat involvement. It is a known fact that the cause of various diseases lies in the abdomen. Therefore, a moist mud compress over the abdomen is of great help in many acute and chronic diseases, such as fever and constipation. Besides the curative value of a moist mud compress over the abdomen in a large number of ailments of the body, its regular daily application over the abdomen helps in preventing most diseases, provided the body is kept free from impurities by eating a proper diet and using enemas to cleanse the colon. In addition, a moist mud compress is of immense value in the healing of all injuries, wounds, inflammations, bees and insect bites, skin diseases including eczema and eruptions, cancer, leprosy, all pains, fever, eye and throat troubles. It is contended that the earth contains many harmful bacteria and germs. This is no doubt true. The germs are avoided if the earth is taken from a level that is about a foot below the surface. Clayey earth is preferred over sandy soil and should always be applied cold for 15 to 30 minutes at a time. However, a compress may be applied for several hours and repeated several times a day. The earth has great cleansing powers and a mud pack may be applied to the entire skin surface. If the whole body is anointed with mud, which is formed by mixing mud with water, and is allowed to stay on the skin for some time, say half an hour, the skin is cleansed perfectly and becomes smooth and soft. The mud should be removed by using a moist cloth, followed by a good bath. Relax and rest. 5. Fruits, vegetables, and leaves. It is a well-known fact that the Lord created the vegetation world with fruits, herbs, and leaves prior to the human world. According to the Bible in Genesis 1:29-30, God states, "I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. I give every green plant for food." The growing of cereals, their cooking, and the advent of agriculture must have been a later idea. This means that the Lord has ordained man to obtain his required food from fruits, vegetables, leaves, herbs, and other natural vegetation. As long as man confines himself to the consumption of fruits and leaves in their natural condition, he is able to maintain unfailing health and vibrant vitality. This way of eating also helps in the development of a pure, receptive, and virtuous mind with a sublime intellect. Disrespect to this blessing has brought about the onset of diseases and other sufferings. The ancient rishis found that fruits, vegetables, leaves, and nuts are the ideal staple food for human consumption. Western writers, thinkers, philosophers, and research scholars like H. Carrington, Arnold Ehret, Dr. N. Wigmore, the wheatgrass curist, and Dr. N. W. Walker have also come to this conclusion. The rishis realized the secret of life by their divine vision and have also experienced the outstanding superiority of fruits and leaves over other categories of human food. Food has been divided by them into 4 categories, in proportion to the amount of impurities produced in the body. The lesser the impurities produced, the more vital the body will be, with the potentiality of freedom from disease and greater longevity. In their classification, leaves get the highest place as they produce the least impurities. The next place has been given to fruits, which produce a little amount of impurities. Then, the third place is for vegetables and the last for grains. The ideal food of man must fulfill the following conditions. 1. It should contain all the necessary constituents required for the proper maintenance of body. 2. It should be easy to digest and assimilation. 3. Its residues after digestion and absorption should easily get excreted by the human system. The end products of metabolism are poisonous and have to be excreted through kidneys, colon, lungs, and skin. These products, therefore, should be simple with least toxicity so that they are excreted without causing much strain to the excretory organs. This will enable them maintain in perfect condition and will prevent any disease in the body, even in old age, since disease is always the result of the accumulation of toxins or impurities in the body. 4. It should have the potential to maintain the vitality of the body. 5. It should have a purifying effect on the mind to produce a virtuous mind and a sublime intellect instead of a highly sensuous mind, which proves destructive to person's vital power. A good example of the success of a diet comprised of fruits, vegetables, and leaves has been given in the Holy Bible, Daniel 1:8-20. But Daniel resolved not to defile himself with the royal food and wine, and he asked the chief official for permission not to defile himself this way. Now God had caused the official to show favor and sympathy to Daniel. But the official told Daniel, "I am afraid of my lord the king, who has assigned your food and drink. Why should he see you looking worse than the other young men of your age? The king would then have my head because of you." Daniel then said to the guard whom the chief official had appointed over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, "Please test your servants for 10 days. Give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then compare our appearance with that of the young men who eat the royal food, and treat your servants in accordance with what you see." So he agreed to this and tested them for 10 days. At the end of the 10 days, they looked healthier and better nourished than any of the young men who ate the royal food. So the guard took away their choice food and the wine they were to drink and gave them vegetables instead. To these 4 young men, God gave knowledge and understanding of all kinds of literature and learning. And Daniel could understand visions and dreams of all kinds. At the end of the time set by the king to bring them in, the chief official presented them to Nebuchadnezzar. The king talked with them, and he found none equal to Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they entered the king's service. In every matter of wisdom and understanding about which the king questioned them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and enchanters in his whole kingdom. The above scripture proves that a diet of fruit, vegetables, and leaves is more healthy and leads to better intelligence. In the Sri Ramcharitmanas, King Manu and his queen Shatrupa discarded grains, took only fruits and vegetables. Then they discarded them, taking water only for quite a long time. After this, they remained on air for some time before discarding it. Karahi ahar saak phal kanda, sumirahi brahm sacchidananda, punihari hetu karan tap lage, bari adhar mool phal tyage. Balkand 144/1. Their bodies became very thin, but weakness did not appear. Asthi matra hoi rahe sarira, tadapi manag manahi nahi pira. Balkand 144/4. They were then able to listen to the voice of the Lord. Magu magu baru bhay nabhabani, param gabhir kripa mritasani. Balkand 144/6. Surprisingly, they then gained weight. Risht pusht tan bhay suhai, manahu abhi bhavanate aaye. Balkand 144/8. There are numerous other individuals who have followed this dietary system. Dominance of leaves. It holds the highest place in the category of human food by the ancient rishis. This has been shown in the Tapasya of Mata Parvati, where leaves were undertaken for self-purification to make her acceptable to Lord Shiva. Sambat sehas mool phal khai, sagu khai sat varsh gamai. Balkand 74/2. For 1,000 years she lived on roots and fruits alone, while for another 100 years she subsisted on leaves. To begin with, she gave up cereals and underground vegetables, which are usually boiled or roasted before being taken, and took only fruits and raw edible tubers. Then she gave up these as well, and confined only to the fresh leaves. The supremacy of leaves is based on the fact that they alone possess 3 great outstanding qualities. 1. They do not possess any constituent that may produce impurities in the blood as other foods do. 2. They contain the mysterious and wonderful constituent chlorophyll, the green pigment. The medicinal value of leaves and herbs is due to chlorophyll, which possesses great healing properties. When applied externally, It stimulates healing and removes dead and necrotic tissues. It also accelerates the formation of connective tissues and epidermal proliferation, thus producing normal tissue with little scar formation. In addition, it cures open wounds and chronic sinus infections. This great healer chlorophyll has germicidal powers, while at the same time very gentle and soothing to the wounded or diseased tissues. Attempts to explore the real nature of chlorophyll molecules led to the visualization of life itself. All life power comes from the sun and green plants alone, both of which possess the secret of capturing it. Then they pass on this life power to all living beings. When the sun rays strike the plant leaves, a miracle is brought about. Water and carbon dioxide molecules are torn apart, and the carbon and oxygen elements are transformed into living tissues combining with water, while the excess oxygen is released from the plant to revitalize the air. This discloses the great secret of life and growth. A human being is thus in a position to utilize all this by using herbs and leaves as food. After a very careful study, a German chemist, Richard Willstatter, dramatically solved a long baffling problem with regard to molecule of chlorophyll, bearing a very close resemblance to the red pigment hemoglobin found in the blood. The red pigment is a web of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen atoms grouped around a single iron atom. The natural green pigment chlorophyll is a similar web of the same atom of magnesium. This close similarity was highly significant, as it showed how the chlorophyll found in leaves and herbs could easily be transformed into blood. The juice from the green spinach leaf was found as one of the best anti-anemic remedies available. This secret was known to the rishis, who classed leaves in the highest category of human food. 3. Leaves possess all the necessary constituents of food, though in very small amounts. They are sufficient to meet one's dietary requirements, provided the vital potential and power has been manifested through gradual purification of the body. The vital potential, therefore, must be raised gradually, step by step, so that the body could continue with the power utilizing the higher forms of food. This is accomplished by slowly changing the diet to foods in the higher category. It is important to note that the vital potential continues to manifest in the body in proportion to its purification.